Hear me, Shelley? Shelley, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, why don't you start letting people in?
I already did.
Oh, well then, hello. Welcome, we've been expecting you. Okay, here we go. Well, welcome everybody that is here on Zoom and everybody that is here in person. If you're not here in person, we have fruit, we have pastries, we have coffee, we have tea. So consider coming here next time and being part of the in-person community if you like. I can even see you in the corner if you like, so you be separated from everybody.
That really says community.
For those of you who can't see us at home, or those of you who can only see me, we've got about 20 people or so here in the audience at the community center. I am Ellen Ferreira. I am moderating for Kathy Rutherford, who is the president of DORR, but is not able to join us today, unfortunately. Before we get started, I just want to ask how many of you were at the picnic and what did you think?
It was great. It was great.
Most of the people in the room here were at the picnic and they are saying, quote, "It was great." I agree. We had wonderful speakers. Adrian Fontes was here, Lauren Kuby, this Clean Slate for Democracy. Scott Jablow spoke. We had great candidates, great dialogue, good food. Pardon me, Coral Evans was the moderator, and oh my gosh, she is fabulous. Coral is just wonderful. We had Raquel Tehran, who is head of the Democratic Party in Arizona. It was a wonderful event, and I have to thank the people on the picnic committee who did such a great job. I see Diana Christensen is here, and Sin Belowski, and also Roz and her husband Dave Britton and Margaret Connery. They did such a fabulous job. Toby does everything, so it's no surprise. Thank you, Toby, once again for the millions and millions of things you do all the time. Also, thanks to the many, many volunteers who have been staffing the DORR office recently and all year. Everybody is terrific. You show up, you are there. We have a presence in the community. People who have been canvassing, people who have been phone banking, people who have been texting, people who have been writing postcards. We have a wonderful active community and we have to keep it up. We are almost at the finish line, almost. But as you know, it's all about turnout. If we can't get out the vote, it's not going to be good. We need to get out the vote. So whatever you can do, even if you think you can't do much, you can do something. You can drive canvassers, there's plenty of stuff to do. Contact the DORR office, ask for Llama. Freddie Hamilton is coordinating volunteers. Linda Scott is around. So please make it known that you are willing to do whatever you can do. Even if you're shy, even if you're an introvert, it doesn't really matter. We are going to have a watch party the evening of the election, November 8th. It will most likely be at El Portal. I'm not going to give you any details about when because we haven't nailed it down yet, but that's most likely the site for our watch party. So save that evening. If you want to volunteer to work at the polls, in the polls as a poll observer or outside, we're going to have tents set up at all of our voting places. We will have DORR signs there with ballot cards to remind anybody who shows up that doesn't know how to vote. We can give them some good information. So if you even wanted to do that for a 2-hour shift during the election itself that day, please call the DORR office. How many of you have already voted? How many have dropped? Well, that's almost unanimous. Yes, Ron. No, you can't vote twice.
I haven't voted once because I've never received my ballot.
Okay. Ronnie has received her ballot.
So I called the registrar's office.
Yes.
They looked me up. They said it went out on the 12th. And I said, well, I've never received it. They said, we'll send you another one. I still have not received it.
I would be on their office, on their, keep calling their office, keep calling the office.
I
It's
wonder
the,
if I should just go there.
Yeah, I think it
The
might
county-
be really useful to do that.
the county recorder's office. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. don't just let it drop. If you haven't gotten your mail ballot and you believe you should have, and you should have by now, please just contact the county recorder's office. What else? Okay, I just want to remind everybody that after this program, we are going to gather at the corner of Safeway, Rodeo and 89A for a rally. The rally is a pro-choice reproductive rights rally against the 1864 law. It's a territorial law that was passed, outlining practically, well, every kind of abortion, rape, incest, no exceptions, except for the life of the mother. And that's a really tough one to decide if you're a doctor or working in a hospital. It's a terrible, antiquated law, and we are very close to having that law imposed throughout Arizona. So we want to protest loud and strong. We want to amplify this through social media, our social media, the Indivisible social media, whatever we can, because we're a couple of weeks before the election. This is the time people will say, what? I didn't know that. 1864, that's ridiculous. And hopefully that will sway some votes. Speaking of, so that's going to be immediately after this. So for the folks watching at home, you can certainly get in your cars as soon as this is over and buzz on down to the Safeway parking lot. A lot of us are going to be wearing Prairie Girl outfits, Prairie Woman outfits, and
You have to come because I'm gonna wear that.
you have to come because we're making our speakers wear Prairie outfits. So they don't want to be humiliated. If no one else shows up, we'll have to get new signs that just say Happy Halloween. Yeah. Okay, we have a great program today. I don't know if everybody here is familiar with Indivisible. I would hope you are, but if you're not, Indivisible is a fabulous organization that came into being shortly after Donald, who was elected. And the work they have done since then is remarkable. Today, we have with us two speakers. We have Leah Greenberg, who is a co-founder. She and her husband, Ezra Levin, co-founded Indivisible, the best idea ever. And she now serves as their executive director. Hang on one second. I want to tell you a little bit about this amazing young woman, because what she has accomplished in such a relatively short period of time is amazing. Okay. Well, I told you she's the co-founder. However, she has been featured as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in 2019. She's been included on GQ's 50 most powerful people in Trump's Washington, and ranked #2 on the Politico 50 list of top thinkers, doers, visionaries, and transforming American politics.
Go, Leah.
I know it. She's so accomplished. She's the co-author of a book, which I have, called We Are Indivisible, the Blueprint for Democracy After Trump. It's a fabulous book. I would recommend that all of you read it because it gives the secrets. I mean, there's no secret. This is how we do it. She's going to tell us about the founding of the organization and a little bit about where we are now, and her outlook on the election that's coming up. We also have with us Tricia Sauer. Tricia, our close buddy, is head of Arizona Indivisible, and she is also an accomplished woman. She was the co-director of 4 different We the People summits and co-founder of Civic Engagement Beyond Voting.
Oh,
Yeah. We all know what that is. This is an informed group of people. We started with civic engagement with request to speak. And so much has grown out of that little program, including the candidacy of Laura Terrick, who is running in LD4 for the Arizona House of Representatives. So we're so honored to have both of these people here live in person at the community center in Sedona, Arizona. Leah does not travel a lot because she has a toddler at home. And so for her to come and visit says a lot about the state of politics in Arizona and her concern and her desire to help motivate people here. So without further ado, I will turn the program over to Leah Greenberg. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, and it is such a pleasure to be here today. I'm thrilled to be in Arizona. There is so much at stake in this election, and it all runs right through Arizona. So I am really excited to be here with you all to talk about how we got here and what we're going to do. So I'm going to do a quick kind of story of Indivisible and how we got started. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what's at stake in this election and why I'm really hopeful. So Indivisible, well, I'll start with my own story. I got my start working on Capitol Hill as a young congressional staffer during the early Obama years. Spent most of my career actually working on human trafficking policy and advocacy, so working with coalitions of trafficking survivors and advocates, up until the 2016 election, when, like a lot of people around the country, I had a pretty serious emotional breakdown. My husband, Ezra, who was a poverty policy advocate and former congressional staffer, was going through the same thing. Both of us were looking at everything we'd done on policy and watching as this incoming administration threatened to just sweep it all away and threaten everything that we held dear. And we were looking for what could we do to help? What could we do to stop this? And we, what we realized pretty quickly was we were not the only people who were in this place, right? We were part of a large number of people who were reacting to the election of Donald Trump by seeking ways to stand up, to get involved, to figure out, if the systems hadn't stopped Donald Trump, then we would do it ourselves. And so we realized that, there was this movement of people all together, or all coming together around the country, figuring it out in basements, in somebody's living room, in churches and synagogues and all of these places. And we thought maybe our contribution could be taking the tools and the lessons that we had learned from Capitol Hill when we had been young congressional staffers, making them available to people to organize locally, to take that inside knowledge and to use it to stop the Trump agenda and ultimately build the political power necessary to get him out of office. So we did that. We wrote a guide to congressional advocacy, which we called Indivisible, because we believed that in this moment it was going to be crucial to stand together, indivisible. We put it on the internet in December of 2016. We thought that our friends were going to read it and they would go home for Christmas and their families would ask them what to do and they would give them the guide. And then, in 6 months, someone would email us and say, hey, I used your guide at a town hall and it really worked. And that would have been success. That wasn't what happened. Within a couple of hours of putting the guide on the internet as a Google Doc and tweeting it out, it started to go viral. The Google document crashed. We started to get emails from all over the country, people just pouring into this inbox that we had set up. And they all said the same thing, which was, there are a lot of typos in this guide. So we picked the typos. But then there was also another wave of emails. It was people from all over the country saying, I was lost, I was scared, I didn't know what to do. I'd gotten my friends together. We were trying to figure out what we were going to do. Now we are Indivisible Huntsville. Now we are Indivisible Binghamton. Now we are Indivisible Pasadena. Now we are Indivisible Anchorage. We're going to be taking action. We're going to be putting the guide into action, and we're going to be, and we have some questions about what we're going to do next. And so, at that moment, we realized that we had catapulted ourselves into this movement that was growing and rising all over the country of people who were taking matters into their own hands, who weren't actually waiting for anyone in Washington to tell them what to do, but had already started to organize, already started to create the grassroots resistance that would ultimately defeat the Trump administration. And over the next 4 years, we built together. We pulled together first our friends in our own volunteer network, and then ultimately brought on a team of really incredible kick-ass professionals. Hi, Tricia. To help us build out and support this grassroots movement all over the country of people who had organized locally to fight wherever they were. In red areas, to fight the extremism and the horror of the MAGA policies. In blue areas, to push Democrats to stand up to the Trump administration. In purple areas, to make sure that we were maximizing our political power and we were taking back everything we could so that we could have that bulwark against Trumpism. And, over the next 4 years, that's what we did. We fought back to protect the Affordable Care Act and ensure that it remained intact. We built the blue wave of 2018 and pulled off victories all over the country that allowed us to flip the House. We pushed Democrats to impeach Donald Trump in 2019. And ultimately, we built the political power necessary to push out a would-be dictator in 2020. And I want to like linger on that for a minute, because I think it's easy to get it's easy at a moment like this to feel overcome by the enormity of where we are and what we have to do. But like, let's linger on 2020 for a second. The most powerful man in the world, the guy who controls the nuclear weapons, the guy who controlled the US military, did not want to leave office. He did not want to leave office. He was willing to use his powers however he could in order to stay in office. We, and a collective grassroots movement around the country, got the voters out to get him out, and then we collectively forced him to actually leave. In other countries, when that happens, that is called a nonviolent revolution.
Wow.
And we should. And we have been through that. And so obviously there might be a little bit of a hangover, right? When we look at what we have left to do, but that's extraordinary. You have lived through a historic moment. Unfortunately, we're going to live through a few more before this is over. And that brings us to this period, right? We are facing this momentary reprieve from some of the forces that are threatening our democracy, that are threatening our country. But we're also facing a really crucial election. We have a path in front of us where we expand our majorities, where we control key state and local offices that allow us to continue to function as a democracy. Where we actually have the ability to act on some of the promises that we really, that animate us as a collective, right? Structural democracy reform, voting rights, codifying Roe, passing the transformative policies that we have put a down payment on over the last 2 years on prescription drugs, on climate action, on gun violence prevention, on war. All of that is in front of us. And also, Trumpism did not go away when Donald Trump left office. And we see that everywhere, from the very local levels where people are threatening election administrators and going after school boards, up to the state levels. Y'all know that better than I do, as you're watching Carrie Lake, who's being described nationally as an heir to the Trumpist mantle, to the national level, where, we all know that if Kevin McCarthy takes office as Speaker of the House, like folks like Paul Gosar are going to be the ones who are actually the power behind the throne. And that's terrible. That should be scary for all of us, right? So those are the two futures we have in front of us. And we are in that extraordinary moment where the things we do actually dictate which future we are in. We have 18 days to contact as many voters as possible to make sure they understand what is at stake in this election. The classic issue with midterms is always about turnout. It's always about whether people are persuaded that it's actually important to vote. We have a powerful case for why it is important to vote if we can cut through the cynicism, if we can cut through the feelings that people might have around government. If we can do that as individual local messengers, we have the potential to shift this election. I also want to note, as scary as things can be, because of the work we have done so far, we are in a much better place to continue forward, right? In 2020, again, just to go back to this, the guy who controlled the nuclear weapons didn't want to leave office. He controlled the National Guard. The National Guard is now on the side of a functional democracy. That's a really big deal. So for folks who are scared about kind of where we are and the potential threats that we are facing, because of the work we've done so far, we are in a better place. And because of the work we're going to do over the next 18 days, we will be in a better place for 2024. So I really want to emphasize that it is a continual cycle. And the biggest risk that we face is always disenchantment, checking out, or people feeling disempowered. Now, the other thing I want to emphasize there, Republicans know that, right? There's a reason that they work really hard to kind of create that sense of disenchantment. There's a reason that they work really hard to suppress the vote. They actually understand that they are in the minority. They understand that their extremist positions are not popular. They run away from them when they are actually, or they often run away from them when they're actually forced to answer for them, right? there's a reason that nobody really wants to answer any questions about what it means that an 1864 law that is banning abortion from conception is could go back into effect. There is a reason that they do not want to answer questions about their tax policies or what they will do to Social Security or what they are prepared to do on gun violence. We actually have the ability to take as they are going further right, we have the ability to scoop up the people they're leaving behind and bring them into our coalition. And we have the ability to get the people who are disenchanted on our side, who maybe don't believe in politics, and make the case to them what we have done over the last 2 years and what is at stake and what the other side threatens, and bring them into our coalition. It all depends on that voter outreach. It all depends on that one-to-one personal contact that is actually going to win this for us. So on that note, I am going to turn it over to Tricia, who is going to talk exactly about how we are going to do that. And we'll take questions. All right.
Following Leah is really hard. So we have launched a couple of different things that we would like to let you know about. We have a program called Neighbor to Neighbor, and you register for it. It gives you 5 addresses of the 5 closest neighbors to you who are in your viewpoint. And we give you a script, or we give you a printout if you're too scared to go knock on the door and talk to your neighbor. And it gives them all the information about voting. Here in Arizona, we have one of the longest ballots in the nation. Who here had to get out special glasses to read their ballot? It was rough, right? 7.5 font. Like, it's a long ballot, and it's up to each of us to go out and reach out to neighbors and friends and family and young people and help them figure out the propositions. Some of them don't know that dark money is one of the propositions. Do you know how interested a young person gets when they find that out? They're like, wait, I don't want money in politics. I'm like, we have a solution. You just have to vote all the way down the ballot. So the Neighbor to Neighbor program was launched. I'm going to go backwards a little bit and talk about the Indivisibles across Arizona. We have tons of rural groups in Arizona. I also run the National Rural Program, and we're very proud to say we're the largest national footprint of progressive organization Indivisible is.
Wow.
Yeah, we have it all across the state, Montana, Idaho, everywhere that you can think of, small towns. You can start an Indivisible with just 2 people. So a lot of people do that, and they start it and they start advocating for their city council, and then they work their way up, learning more about federal. One of the programs that Indivisible National provides us is when there is a bill in Congress, we do a policy explainer, and we also give you a sample of how to take action on it. If you want that policy to go through, we show you who to call, when to call, what pressure to put on them. And sometimes we'll do a national organization. We'll all go out and protest on a certain day for a certain bill. We did that for the People Act. We did that for the Inflation Reduction Act, the student debt. We did many calls on that one, and that got passed. So it's the advocacy as well as the elections that's part of Indivisible. We're one of the few organizations that does both. Here in Arizona, we have about 40 Indivisible groups across the state, from the smallest town with 2 people to like the largest, and Flagstaff just got a new one. Tucson just got a new one. So we're expanding every day as people have interest. We do not tell our groups what to focus on. And that was actually the reason that my group in Civic Engagement Beyond Voting joined Indivisible. I helped co-founded Civic Engagement Beyond Voting right after the Trump election. We heard about a little thing called Request to Speak that lobbyists use to tell Republican legislators how to vote on bills so that they wouldn't have to read the bills, because that might be too much work for them. So we would go on there and we would just see that 3 lobbyists had logged in and there are thumbs up or a thumbs down on it. And we thought, well, couldn't we just teach regular people how to do this? For the first year, we kept our identity as a secret because we didn't want to be lobbied by the lobbyists. I would say that actually probably 2 or 3 years, we kept our identity a secret. Those of you who have seen Melinda know she's a very shy, introverted person generally. So she has finally come out and gets lobbied now constantly. And I get texts in the middle of the night going, they want me to say this. Say no, just keep saying no. So we have a lot of really good organizing that's happened in Arizona, like Indivisible Sedona, and after the March Verde Valley really took over this area, and they each have their own personality and what they do, from the protesting to the teaching you guys how to do Request to Speak. Down and up in Prescott Indivisible, they have a huge movement where they have done racial equity training, which you all know about Prescott. Like, you know, that's hard. We had Indivisible staff come out and help them with that, and it got so popular that the mayor reached out to them and asked if they would train his staff. Right? These are the things you can do through Indivisible. Down in Tucson, you know, they're pretty good with the protesting, so they were trying to hold cinema account for the last year. Sorry about that. We'll get her out 24. So I saw how many people voted. I have a question. How many of you have shared your voter guides with friends and family?
I shared your voter guide.
Anyone that you want, as long as, have you shared it on your social media? Your Facebook, have you been brave and shared it on your Facebook? Because we need you to be brave. In rural America, most people get the majority of their news through Facebook. And you can criticize that all you want, but cable's not everywhere. Newspapers aren't everywhere. And we've lost so many local papers. So a lot of people really need you to be sharing the information. Like when you hear a absolutely horrific story about Carrie Lake, you should be sharing that. You should also be sharing those propositions and those judges. We all want Bill Montgomery out. In Arizona, only one judge has ever not been retained. We would like to go for 2. So Bill Montgomery, you've gotten the thumbs down on the voter guides for that. Really reach out to people and explain that he is the guy who keeps holding everything up when we do ballot initiatives, which is in our Constitution. So good news is voter registration in Arizona is up. It was up right after Dobbs. It was up again after the 1864 law went into effect for about 2 weeks. And now we're back to a different law. I'm getting whiplash because I have no idea where our status is. If those of us in the know are getting whiplash from the abortion laws changing, imagine what the young people are feeling. The 20-somethings have no clue. They're like, I don't know. Can I even have a condom? I don't know. Can I have Planned Parenthood? Can I go get Plan B? What can we have and what can't we have? So it's really important that we're reaching out to everybody right now for the next 17 days. Try the neighbor to neighbor program or go through DORR and reach out to your friends and family. One of the other things that we instituted this year is the younger people like to be registered independents. We did a voter guide by issue. And so we say vote by issue, not by party. Now I know I'm at a Democrat event. When you scan this based on your issue, it will give you the candidates who matter the most to that issue. So we took this to the Pride Parade and had over 1,000 flyers given away. They were fighting for them. They took pictures and shared because this would be the people on LGBTQ who would protect their rights. When you scan the money, the dark money one, obviously, anybody here sign the Outlaw Dirty Money petition? That's what will come up on there, and also the treasurer's race, but with Senator Martin Quezada, his name comes up on there because that's who controls our money in Arizona. If you do that was the dark money. If you do climate, it shows you that complicated water board. And that was something that young people really are interested in is climate. So you can she's passing around some of the flyers. We have them on the website and you can download them. Really encourage you to share that through your social media. Also, the young people like this kind of a concept because they don't like to be told vote all Democrats.
Right.
It's not my fault that there's no good independents running. We're doing the best we can in Arizona. I think that's it. Did I leave anything out, Ellen?
No, that seems like an awful
It
lot.
was a lot. So now we'll take questions.
More about what CEBV does.
Yeah.
Dave Patchen's group.
Oh, so CEBV, one of the things that it took a lead on was the beginning of this year, Ezra started talking to us about messaging and using MAGA mayhem messaging, saying MAGA Republicans. And I got a lot of grief from that. Some of y'all sent me emails. And then the president said it in August and I didn't get any more emails. We were really leading on changing the messaging. We want to differentiate that MAGA Republicans are a different breed. And in Arizona, we know that, but we need to talk to our neighbors. We need to give the Republicans here an excuse to be able to say, I'm not that. So yeah, this year I'm going to vote Democrat. So Dave Patchen's group, we started an accountability team and they met weekly and came up with messaging and came up with ways to hold people accountable. You all did postcards. I know you did postcards for Laura Turek's race. And so you would have been doing postcards into Nancy Bartow. Who here likes Nancy Bartow? No one, right? Holding them accountable for their past votes. And that was one of the things, if you go on Civic Engagement Beyond Voting, they have downloadable about every single state representative who is not in our camp and what they have voted on exactly. And they took that, turned it into postcards, turned it into messaging. We also launched a program through Indivisible called Speechify. It's the easiest way to get a message out I've ever experienced.
Mhm.
You log on, you choose your social media. So we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we even have LinkedIn. We have WhatsApp because that's very popular in the southern part of the state. And we have a volunteer who every night she sits down and she writes little snippets for each of those. And you can check in the morning and share one of her messages. We had, for example, 355 click-throughs on a voter registration post. Now, we registered 355 people through social media. We didn't stand in front of Safeway. And there were people who agreed with us because the tweet was about Roe versus Wade. So we know that those people who registered are in our camp. So it's things like that. And Ellen and Toby can get you the link for Speechify. We're testing it in Arizona. I think it went really well. So we're hoping to have it in other parts of the nation as we can. And then there's Protect Our Freedoms, which emphasizes the good things the Biden administration has done for us. So those are two ways that we've done messaging in Arizona. And then we have a guide about MAGA mayhem that Leah, Ezra, and the team wrote, which talks about all the ways that we hold MAGAs accountable. Did anybody see a video with, we call him Walkaway Juan Cisnero down in the southern Tucson?
Yeah.
And he was walking away from somebody asking about abortion. She was an Indivisible. So he's not answering whether or not he's for or against abortion. At his own canvas, where he was about to send volunteers out to knock on doors, he refused to answer the question. Watch the video again. There's a guy in a red shirt on the side, and he says, why isn't he answering the question? That was a guy running for state legislature as a Republican. So he wouldn't even answer it to his own people because now he's embarrassed and he wants to try to win. So he scrubbed his website just like Blake Masters did. And we have been holding them accountable. We have in Flagstaff, Northern Indivisible, they have done protests for the abortion rally and really united the city council there and united the young people there every week. So hi to Susan. Each group does what they feel most passionate about, and that's what we work on. That help? I know it's on.
All right, thank you both. Thank you both for that insight. I'm sure we have questions. I would like you to explain, to tell us how many nationwide, how many Indivisible members do you think there are? How many groups do you think there are?
That is a great question. So the short answer is we have just done like kind of a nationwide survey, and our best estimate right now based on that is that there are 2,700 Indivisible groups active all over the country.
Wow.
Mhm. Now, we do not hold, Indivisible groups are independent. They generally hold their own membership, right? Like, so we don't have everybody who's on your email list on our email list. So it's hard for us to say exactly how many members, but it is an enormous number of groups. And we collectively, our best estimate is that we reach between 1 and 3 million people. So it is a big movement. It is a locally led movement. As Tricia notes, that's really a big part of our strength, is that it is people who felt strongly enough about this to organize in their own communities to figure out what was the best and most strategic set of things that they could do to make change everywhere from the local to the national level. You know, we will often be developing kind of national strategic campaigns. We'll kind of give you guidance and tools on messaging or on strategies for passing legislation. But we also recognize that, you know, you tell everybody to do one thing from the top and they do one thing. Whereas like if everyone is a leader and they're thinking about what they can do, then you will get 1,000 different really, really cool and impactful things. So we're very proud to be part of a movement that is locally led.
Okay, thanks. Who's got questions? Here's Carol.
For those of us who are canvassing over the next 17 days, I would ask the question of, give me a precise, short sentence that would motivate the person to go to the polls.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna say that first, you're gonna ask the person what motivates them, right? Like if we're talking to somebody and I want to hear a little bit about where their head is at before I figure out what is my one sentence. So if somebody says, I'm really concerned about inflation, that's going to be a different conversation than, oh, I don't know if it's worth voting, it never matters, right? Like those are different messages and we got to figure out different ways. So what are you hearing as you're canvassing? What are the main things you want to be responding to for people?
Well,
She's thinking.
I guess I'm finding it to be not as productive as I would like it to be, because I'm either meeting people who won't answer the door, or I'm meeting people who are, oh, you're talking to the choir. I'm voting for every Democrat there is. And so I think, why don't I just go home, lay in the sun, read a good book?
I'll do that one. So go to different places. So the Democrats and the Republicans tend to do canvassing just of their people. If you go to, say, Pride Parade, you get different people. If you go to the college campus, you get different people. And as the college students walk by you, what we're calling it is ironing board brigade. You take your ironing board, and the reason that we do ironing board is when they're not sending my ass back to the 1950s. So an ironing board will get college students' attention. They will stop and look at you like you're crazy, because why would you have an ironing board on a college campus? And you say, what issue matters to you this year? They all have a different thing they care about. And when you find that issue, you're able to say what we've done for them. So if they said climate to me, I would say, oh, you heard Joe Biden just passed the largest climate bill in history. Oh, yeah, he did. I'm like, well, you want him to do more of that? You got to go vote. If it's a woman and she says, well, I'm worried about this Roe thing, obviously that's the abortion topic. I say Carrie Lake wants to take away your rights to abortion. Lake Masters thinks it's demonic.
Yeah.
He actually said that abortions are demonic. So it really depends on the person that you're talking to, but I really advocate for going to different locations and finding people. You can find people at parades, at libraries. When you were gathering signatures for all the different petitions that we've had, we went to the people, we didn't go to the doors. So that's the concept for going out with your voter guide. Go to the people, not the doors. Go to the park. Whoever's showing up at the park, they're going to approach you. If you are in an outfit that says something like Obama or Sierra Club or something, you're only going to get approached by the ones who are on your side.
Or hate you.
Yeah. And you say, are you also, the thing that I like to say in Arizona is, that ballot's long. What are you stuck on? And everybody will agree with you. And almost everybody has at least one question on that ballot. And that gets the conversation. It leaves out the, why should you vote? It immediately goes to the, what are you stuck on? So that's how I usually work it. Does that help?
So our canvassing efforts, Carol.
They're still good, still canvas, but also think differently.
Right.
Think of going where the people are, not where the.
Because I have the same exact experience Carol has.
The canvassing is tough.
I've got one for canvassing. and
Okay,
that's
good.
Here. If you end up, at a door of someone who's older, there's a lot of older people in our community. I'm going for Social Security.
Yes.
Because you have so many of the really right-wing, you have so many of the really right-wing folks that want to cut Social Security or eliminate Social Security. And that just scares all of us. We have to protect it. And this is the canvas is one of the good ways to get that out.
A lot of people are intimidated by canvassing because they feel like they are not a font of knowledge about every issue. And they're intimidated because they think they have to have the exact answers. You don't. You can give generalized answers. You can also, this little thing, first of all, do you guys all know how these work, the QR codes?
No.
No. Okay, well, so a lot of restaurants started using them. What are you saying, Mary?
Back up.
Back up.
Yeah,
You're sitting in the chair.
Oh, sorry. Okay. You can see it. Okay. Right after, well, shortly after COVID, a lot of restaurants started using these on the tables instead of menus because they didn't want everybody to touch a dirty menu. So you go to your camera on your phone and you focus right on this square. And this will take you to a great description of the particular subject.
Hold this still.
I'm sorry. Just pick one issue, not the whole thing.
So you could actually take this. This has not six different
Six
subjects.
issues. Yeah.
Abortion, education, climate, democracy, LGBTQ, money and politics. Depending on what the person is interested in, you leave this behind, you tell them how to look at it, they'll see like a little commercial about this particular issue that they're concerned with. So this is it's a great new use of technology that we've got to get with it, because the young people, you're right, not that there are that many, in this community, but should we ever encounter one? No, talk to them.
Up there, right?
Exactly. All right, so this kind of thing, Toby's got it, I've got it. We spread this amongst our Indivisible groups, but we can't get it out through everywhere, every community. So this is one of the many things they come up with. Tricia she's the most creative person I know, because she not only came up with the ironing board brigade thing, but she came up with ballots in the bedroom. Invite a couple of people into your bedroom with their ballots and sit on the bed and take a couple of pictures. Because if the government wants to get into your bedroom, then why don't we just do government from our bedroom?
Invite your friends and family.
It's great. Invite your friends and family into your bedroom, perhaps into your bed.
The goal of that program was to get people to understand you could start voting now in Arizona.
Yeah.
Like that really was launching to be somewhat humorous so that people would share it and they would say, oh, we can start voting already. So yeah, if the Republicans are going to be in my bedroom, I'm going to vote in my bedroom. Yeah. Brilliant.
All right, what other questions do we have here? Ronnie?
Yeah. If I don't get my ballot, I have a feeling, I have like 4 or 5 signs outside in front of my house. And so people know what I'm interested in and what I'm for. And I just have a feeling, and I could be just paranoid about it, that someone took it out of my mailbox and that they're gonna do it again. I don't know.
Can you go vote in person?
So that's, where do I go to just go without my ballot and vote in person?
Yeah.
Oh, but I want to do it early. I don't.
You can go now. The voting centers are open now.
Where?
You know what? Let me just, I'm glad you asked.
In Cottonwood, you go right to the Yavapai County Recorder's Office at the Prescott.
Is there anywhere in Sedona?
No, there's no places.
There will be, as it gets closer to the election, they open more places, but right now you go to Conway.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'll drive.
Definitely go to Cottonwood.
If you live in Coconino County, you can go in Sedona.
Right.
Yeah.
To City Hall.
Okay, so let me just, I'm glad you asked this, because the DORR website is being updated daily with more and more and more detailed information about where to vote, how to vote, when to vote. Which one of them is closed on Thursdays? I mean, Fridays, yeah, in Coconino. I mean, there's lots and lots of good information on the Democrats of the redrocks.org. That site has it all, including reminders like, please don't forget to sign your ballot right before you seal it. Don't forget to do that. A lot of people, most of us, well, I don't know how many in this room, use the drop box at the city hall.
Yes.
My husband says, why don't you put it in the mail? I don't know. I just want to put it in the mailbox at City Hall. I can't, do I suspect my mailman of anything? No, I don't. Toby, can you?
I just have a question from the chat I wanted to read.
Okay, hold on.
Somebody asked, where can I get an Indivisible voter guide from out of state canvassing in Prescott this weekend and beyond?
PrescottIndivisible.org. The Prescott Indivisible's website has, and also their Twitter account has it in their Facebook.
And
So-
we have ours on the table here.
We have,
If anybody in the room would like it.
right, at anytime, go to the DORR office, go to the Prescott Indivisible. Liberal Ladies has put out a ballot guide, Indivisible Sedona has put out a ballot guide. There are lots of them around. It should not be hard to find. Kathy.
Just a point to also using a Dropbox is you're saving the postage, which saves not only the county money, but you, the taxpayer, right? And those are your
Right, you're saving
So
postage if you use the
by
Dropbox.
using a Dropbox. So it's safe, it's secure, it's quick, and it's cost efficient.
Safe, sick, quick, cost efficient.
Say it 10 times faster.
No. Oh my gosh, Diana,
IWillVote.com.
IWillVote.com will tell you where to go to vote.
And Ronnie, if you have problems, talk to me, I'll help you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm ready to drive her to Conway right now.
Right, yeah, the in-person vote, all that information is on the DORR website. If it's not, it will be shortly.
So you see how many questions this group has?
Yeah.
Can you imagine being 20 and this is your first election and you got a ballot that's 2 pages long and all you care about is protecting your right to abortion? That's intimidating, right? My own kid gets phone calls from her friends that say, why am I putting my phone number on the outside of this envelope and mailing it? Because we sign it, we put our phone number, remember? But that's weird. If other states, when they move here, they're like, I don't get why we're doing that. That seems very insecure.
Yeah.
So it's really those little questions that we all take for granted that we have to reach out to people and say, and give them that opening. What are you struggling with voting? I don't ever ask somebody, are you going to vote? I say, what are you struggling with? Like, what part of this is hard? So it really, I can't emphasize enough of reach out to your hairdresser and yoga and like literally everyone you run into in the next 17 days. Say, are you struggling with your ballot? That's it.
Can you, I have a question now for your people. I have one of these things, I carry them in my purse. I carry them in my purse. I'm assuming anybody can pick up copies of these at the DORR office. I find them really useful. I have handed them out just randomly at Safeway and other places. And it has the petitions listed, which a lot of people do struggle with.
Yeah, Jessica's holding up a ballot guide.
And this one has
Yeah.
judges on.
Yeah, this one has the
Right.
judges.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to keep up as quickly as we can. Toby, why don't you stay up here?
Also wear, can you stand up? That shirt? Wear stuff like this everywhere you go for the next 17 days.
Right.
Your Adrian Fontes shirt.
Come on up here.
Yeah. Sure.
I know.
The shirt says, row, row, row your vote.
Can you see it now?
Now, if she has voter guides in her purse and somebody says, I like your shirt, she can just hand it out to them.
Right.
You know, because that down ballot's hard.
Speaking of this
voter guide, this is cut off.
That is cut off because of my technical ineptitude. However,
It's on the website.
it is on a website. If you contact me or you contact Toby, I don't know, tell me your name on.
Cindy Wagner from Prescott Indivisible.
Oh, Cindy, thank you.
That's like last night.
Prescott Indivisible, thank you. Oh, well, then you should be able to find it. It's on the link tree.
Yeah.
It's on the link tree. And it's relatively new, but it's a great concept, you know, so good.
While I'm standing up here, do you mind if I share with you a little poem that was read at the rally last night in Prescott, which was fantastic if you
Okay.
weren't there?
Do you want to hold this or? I'll hold it while you.
Okay.
Hold the mic.
Row, row, row your vote. Stop their harmful scheme. My body, my choice, my body, my choice. They're just too damn extreme.
Very good, very good. Now, the Prescott Indivisible yesterday, you want to tell us about that, Leah?
Sure, absolutely. Well, so I joined Prescott Indivisible last night for a members meeting, and then we all converged on a rally of, I would say, 500 at minimum people.
Wow. Huge. That is huge.
Yeah. On the steps of the Yavapai County Courthouse, which I now know is where Barry Goldwater launched his campaign back in 1964. Anyways, and it was just extraordinary to see everyone. What folks mentioned was the Republicans had a similar rally there a couple of weeks before, and they had gotten only about 100 people out. In Prescott, Arizona. Incredible. We heard from Senator Kelly. We heard from Chris Mays, from Martin Quezada, from the Clean Slate candidates. It was a really extraordinary, barn burner of barn buster, whatever. Barn burner. Series of speeches. Energy was super high. Really incredible to see.
I think we're gonna have some surprises on election night. We may not win all the things, we're gonna win some of the things.
That would be great.
You know, we all talk about the polls and it's neck and neck and what are we gonna do and pulling our hair out about the polls. Just remember back to what happened with Hillary and how ineffective the pollsters have been. They have a pretty poor recent history.
They really admit that.
They do admit that. So if that's what's keeping you up at night, find something else to keep you up at night. Toby, are there any more questions here or online? Sin?
It's maybe my inexperience with Arizona, but on the door,
Website?
no, well, on the website on that voting card.
Yeah.
There are 5 judges for the Court of Appeals Division 1. Yet my Yavapai ballot only had 2 people on it. So the
Exactly.
person, especially Cynthia Bailey, wasn't even there. So I was
That's
like,
correct.
That's right.
so I was very confused. How does that work?
I was confused about that too. It is very confusing. Division 1 appellate is divided even further so that people in Maricopa and some of Coconino and 4 different counties could actually see Cynthia Bailey on their ballot. It's on our ballot too, but we, oh, it's not on our ballot. That's right. I saw it on the voter guides, but it was not on our ballot. The guidelines that I've been given have been to vote to affirm except for William Montgomery. And there is some doubt about another one
He's with reservation.
with reservations, but you gotta write.
So I
yes or
didn't know on him because it was.
So you could say no for him. What's his name? Bean or
I think it's Gregory Bean.
Gregory Bean, yes.
If you
William
go on,
Montgomery.
in this group, it's Bailey,
Right,
Brown, Catani, Gass and Williams. And
Yeah.
the only 2 that appeared on my ballot were Williams and Brown.
exactly.
So,
So then vote to affirm those.
but
The only,
I still don't understand. So apparently it does have to do with where you live.
it does have to do with where you live.
The
We have
county,
so
it has
many
to do with the
people
county.
in our area.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so that's part of that. Okay, I want Toby, here's Toby. Toby and I are going to join our panelists for a little bit and tell you about what's been going on in Sedona. There are 3 groups, indivisible groups in Sedona. Indivisible Sedona, which Toby runs. After the March Verde Valley, I am the transportation coordinator for After the March. And I also facilitate. Yeah, we need a trip. It's true, we need a bus. And then Women's March of Sedona, which mainly deals with women's marches that Kathy Kinsella is part of. So Toby and I are going to sit here and, well, we're going to tell you how much we appreciate the guidance that you give us. I have to say it's overwhelming sometimes. We can't keep up with it all because there's just so much happening all the time. There are so many resources that it's impossible to keep track of. I'll tell you a little bit about After the March Verde Valley, and then Toby can talk about Indivisible Sedona. Our group got started when, well, we weren't even a group. Several of us decided to go to Phoenix for the very first Women's March. Karen's laughing. She was on the bus. A lot of people that are Sue Gould was on the bus. I mean, a lot of people went. We first I thought it would be a car full of people, and then I called Enterprise to see if there was a van for 16, and then we ended up getting a 55 passenger bus to go down to the Women's March, and we had a great time. And when we got back, we got off the bus at Poco Diablo, and we stopped at Cottonwood to pick up people at Chevron Station. We didn't even know each other. It was all word of mouth. And we got back and they looked at me because I rented the bus, and they said, so what are you gonna do now? What are you gonna do next? And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't know. And so we formed a group with very little foresight in giving it this name called After the March, because we thought that was it for the marches. We had little Dixie.
Yeah, one march was gonna do it.
What march was gonna do it? We didn't, so short-sighted. After the March, and there is confusion about the indivisible groups and what we've got going on in here. We're not connected to DORR, although we work very, very closely with DORR. We are partners with DORR. The indivisible groups, we meet monthly, we have an agenda, we have regular people. These are what we'd call the activist people. They're more active than your typical person who's just interested. But and we do fundraisers, and we do postcards, and we do whatever needs to be done. We help. And we're helping do this thing this afternoon after this meeting. the rally for, against 1864. We decided we wanted more people, we needed more people, and so we started a group which would just be lunch, getting to know each other better. Bring together like-minded women in this area for lunch, not a meeting, just to get to know people, let off some steam. And we've been doing that for about 10 years. And I'm sorry, two years.
No agenda.
It's formerly called the Liberal Ladies No Agenda Lunch Club. And because we saw, I would see Jessica at this meeting, and then I'd see her next week at that meeting, and then at that meeting. Do I know anything about Jessica? Do I know, is she married? What did she do before she retired? What was her real person job? I mean, all kinds of things we don't know about each other. So we started these luncheons. There's no speakers generally. It's just to get to know one another. And we now have a mailing list of 290 women from Cottonwood, from Rimrock, from Page Springs, from Sedona mostly. Harriet Young comes down from Flagstaff every time. And we meet about every other month or so. And it's a great way to get to know one another and to build community. Because if I call one of these people and I say, "Hi, I met you at Liberal Ladies. Would you mind making some phone calls?" We'll get a much better response than if somebody from DORR calls and says, "Hi, I'm calling from DORR. Would you mind making some phone calls?" We have the connection.
We have an agenda.
We have it. We have one. We have it. Yes. Toby, tell us about your group.
Go ahead, you're wonderful, keep going.
Well, I'm done.
The last time that I spoke, I received applause because I said I wasn't going to tell everything that my group did, and everyone applauded. Such a long list. So I cut it short today. So we began our group after an Indivisible group. I went online and read what you wrote, and it spoke to me. I was like, I could have written that. That's how I feel. So we started our group in January of 2017. As Ellen's group, we meet monthly. And we have a component, which is a Visibles group. We call them the Visibles. They're a singing group led by Dusty Chrisman, which we haven't been doing because of the pandemic, but we're going to get back to it, I'm sure. And we've been writing postcards. I think we wrote over 5,000 postcards. We wrote postcards for Scott, who's here today. And let's see, what else do I have? And we host events in Sedona for candidates. And we've had one for Chris Mays, Kelly, I won't mention somebody who's not going to be running as our senator soon. We've had, and we are going to have a watch party on November 8th, which is Kathy Rutherford's birthday. I wanted to let her know. And I just wrote down that I feel like, I don't need it now, that our group is like a symphony. I told them that. Everybody does a little bit, and together we come out with a beautiful melody. So that's really what Indivisible does. And I wanted to say to the people in the room, and if you're at home, you can go to the DORR office. We have a new poll card, which has the judges on it. So you might want it for yourself, or you might want it to give to somebody else. And we have stickers, and I'm wearing this sticker. I put a Scott Jablow sticker on, and 3 people at Badges asked me about Scott.
Oh,
so
wow.
I feel like it's a walking yard sign, and he didn't have one for me to wear right now, but
Yeah.
he does have them. So you can go by the DORR office, get a sheet of stickers, and whenever you go out and then, wear it, and you'll see people will look at you, or they might come up to you. So that's one suggestion. And I have some bumper stickers on the table for the people who are here. And I have 7 packets of postcards. So if you'd like those. And the people who are at home, come by the office. We still have a few signs left, and we're working really hard. We expect to celebrate. I'm optimistic. I'm the optimistic one on November 8th. Okay, Anne, you have a question?
Where's the party?
So far the party is at El Portal.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And
Indivisible is helping with that party.
right, both Indivisible groups are contributing to that party. Thank you. Thanks.
Let me just also add, you guys give us some money, and thank you for the money.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, so we have several different programs. We have a Grow Grants program. We have what we call Indivisible Gather, which I went to both of your events, where a group can spend up to $1,000 over like about a 10-month period on anything they want that would help grow their group. So they have like a happy hour, or you could buy t-shirts, and that's really helped a lot of groups build community. What other programs?
We also, well, we have a distributed fundraising system. I'm not sure if y'all are on it, that basically, because most indivisible groups are not formal entities, right? You're not starting like a C4 or a C3 just to do the work. You don't want to get board of directors and all that. So we came up with a system that basically lets you get a debit card, raise money into your own fundraising page, and we handle the compliance and everything involved. And you don't have to get your own bank account in order to do your work.
Wow.
And we want to like make it easier for people to do the work that matters, basically.
And they match funds. So when you get an email from Toby or Ellen's group and it says, Indivisible is going to match up to $500, donate $5, because then we donate $5 to her group. So that's how that works. When they say there's matching funds, we do that like 2 or 3 times a year. It's really nice because it gives a small group, can get up to $1,000 that way.
Leah, could you tell about the staff? How many paid staff does Indivisible have? And also talk about the Truth Brigade.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've got about 80 folks total, all around the country. That includes folks like Trisha, who organize in turf all over, who represent, 1 to multiple states, depending on where they are. It includes our policy folks in DC who are tracking whatever is happening on the Hill and trying to turn that into actionable analysis, strategy, information for everybody around the country to know what is most strategic to advocate on based on who represents you. It includes our communications team, which runs all of our emails, runs all of our digital organizing, our texting program, et cetera, but also kind of acts as like hype people for indivisibles all over the country. So making sure that as something really cool is happening in Arizona, it gets connected to the national press, or it gets connected to state press so that people hear about it. It includes
Like our thing today.
Exactly. Right. So we have a person who's going to be working to make sure that as much press as possible hears about the ironing board brigade today, because, our old saying is pictures or it didn't happen. And generally speaking, we want to make sure that anytime we're doing something for public attention, we get it in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So we use whatever tools we have to do that. Also includes data folks who help us make the voter network, or the voter file available to indivisibles around the country so they can run their own canvases, contact voters, et cetera. I am forgetting some folks on our team, but I'll switch to Truth Brigade, which is another program that we run, which is focused on how you can fight disinformation. So we work with a set of folks who are disinformation experts and who track what are dominant disinformation narratives that are spreading right now. We then have a network of volunteers, around 4,000 volunteers who are part of Truth Brigade. And basically what we do is we provide custom messaging that's designed to counter disinformation with positive alternate narratives. And we work with those volunteers to get that information spread as far as possible across all of the social networks that we have presence on. So if you join Truth Brigade, what you're doing is basically you're getting custom designed messages, you're tailoring them to be the right one for you to spread, and you're sharing it across your social, and then you're working with other volunteers to amplify their messaging so that we get the algorithms to share what we're saying as widely as possible. So it's really about, again, making sure that as many people as possible are seeing the thing that is knocking down the harmful disinformation and promoting alternately our world, our way of viewing the world.
Wow.
Can I add to Truth Brigade? I want to give an example of why Truth Brigade works. When Kamala Harris became vice president nominee, I'm sure you heard immediately the Republicans came out with like 3 horrible talking points about her. Race baiting, basically. The Truth Brigade immediately went on the offense on that. That messaging stopped because we were louder than them during that period. We had more volunteers sharing that message than sharing whatever the heck it was they were trying to say about her. So that's like one of and you can join Truth Brigade without being an Indivisible group. You just Google Truth Brigade Indivisible, and they meet twice a month on Zoom, and it's really easy. It's made a big difference. I think, 1 million views?
Collectively, we've had just under 500 million views. So, yeah.
I mean, it's a good idea if you want to get involved, but in a limited way, to just figure out what it is you like to do. And if you just say, okay, I'm going to be part of the Truth Brigade and I'm going to stop disinformation whenever I see it. That's enough. That's great. Just do it. These are the kind of examples, and they keep popping up in my mind, in your minds, I'm sure. Indivisible has changed the face of politics and campaigns for the progressive side of things in a very, very major positive way. And so we are so grateful that both of you are here today. We appreciate it so much. If you're interested, contact Toby Friedman for Indivisible Sedona, or for me for After the March Verde Valley. We do have, After the March does have a Facebook page. We have two pages, a private and a public. The private one we started with and realized you can't retweet or share something that's on a private Facebook page. So then we created After the March Public. And that one, you can retweet very pithy, not retweet, I keep saying that. Share. You can share whatever else other people put on that site. So After the March, Verde Valley, and After the March, After the March Public. All right.
And they can contact the DORR office too if they need our email addresses.
Right. Yeah, contact the DORR office if you need our email address.
And we're on Twitter.
We're on Twitter.
Yeah.
What is DORR? DORR. Okay, sorry. Susan, I should acknowledge, Susan has done a phenomenal job here of starting Flagstaff. It's Northern Arizona Indivisible. She started it from almost nothing. And so thank you for all that you're doing. So yeah, I mean, as Leah said, there's 2,700 of these groups around the country. And how many in Arizona?
We go between like
40?
30 to 40.
30 to 40.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes people take like 6 months off, then they come back and I'm like, I thought you were closed. I'm like, no, I'm back.
yeah, I mean, and part of what our challenge now is after the election, we want to still keep people energized. And we've got to do that. We can do that through issues. We can do that through requests to speak information, that kind of thing.
But the question was, what is DORR?
Oh, I'm sorry. Perhaps I should listen. Okay, sorry. Democrats of the Red Rocks.
I'm familiar with that.
Democrats of the Red Rocks. Yes, they're the ones that sponsor these monthly breakfasts. By the way, let me just add, they are the third Friday of the month. Both Zoom and in person here at the community center.
And Ellen, everyone is welcome to join our Indivisible group. So
Oh yeah, we're always looking for people to join the Indivisible groups, and the liberal ladies who are not, who would like to become a little bit more active, they're certainly welcome, that's for sure. So I want to introduce Scott Jablow, who is happy to be here today. But before that, I want you to give a round of applause to our wonderful guest, Leah Greenberg. Okay.
Please indulge me. One thing I really love to do when speaking to folks is a selfie with the whole room. Will everybody kind of find it?
Oh my gosh.
All right, because like if that picture didn't
You
happen.
want us to stand up?
Pictures or it didn't happen.
No, I think we can do this. Hold on. I'm not good at actually. All right, I'm even here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, great.
If you want to take one from this angle facing
Let
us.
me do that too. That's gonna be a slightly better image.
Can I take it and you'll be in it?
Yeah, the pictures are important, and Toby is going to be the photographer today
Yeah.
for our event.
Our communications folks let me know if I did
Yeah.
not get the picture, so.
Okay, let's see if I can, oops, sorry, if I can zoom out a little. Got everybody here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, everybody smile. Okay, good. One more.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Ellen,
yes,
you want to talk about the 1864 march so that.
I did that before you came in late, Annie.
No. But Deb's here with costumes.
Deb is here with costumes.
Great. Deb, stand up. Where are you? I don't see her in the room here, but she has brought, we are allowed to change in the ladies' room here at the community center. I have asked for permission and permission is granted.
Or that finds them into.
Or the men's room, pardon me? Yes, okay.
Also choose to wearing.
So yeah, we'll have a good time. It'll be fun and we will be amplified on the Indivisible sites, so we know that. All right, let me introduce to you
Can I ask
Amanda. Wait,
just one question?
One question.
About the ironing board thing? Are there gonna be signs for those of us who don't have them?
signs.
Yeah, I have a couple of these ones.
I can, yeah, for the ironing board brigade, we will have 3 ironing boards there on the street.
Okay,
You know, Jessica, we are not allowed to block the sidewalks.
I know that.
So bringing an ironing board is a little cumbersome, but we're going to have them to make the point because they're a great visual. So, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Come even if you don't have a costume.
It's immediately following.
Immediately following this, just walk right on down to the Safeway or Drive. Okay. I'm going to introduce Scott Jablow again. Scott, we're also proud of you. You've done such a wonderful campaign. You're out there at every single event, you're working your tail off. And you've got a formidable opponent who really shouldn't be formidable. She's an election denier. She is doesn't believe in climate change. She doesn't believe in vaccinations, doesn't believe in masks, has appeared on Breitbart with Steve Bannon. And she has 0 experience.
And $91,000.
And $91,000 to run for mayor of Sedona.
Yes. Wow.
Not that I'm demeaning the mayor position, of course, but you've done a great job and we're all behind you 110%. And let's hear what you have to say to this group.
Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. No, I want to be on camera. Can I stand or? Okay. I just really want to share with you how much I appreciate all that all the combined organizations have done for me. The money that has come in, I didn't raise $91,000, but I'm very happy. Right now I'm at $50,000 and that's fine. And the amount of the contributions has been great. The ads have been great. The combination of putting together a joint ad. The postcards that many of you have done on my behalf, knocking on doors on my behalf as well as the other Democrats. I just want to say thank you. It means so much to me. It is all hard work, but I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. And I have all you to thank for it. I really do appreciate it. I just want to take a minute and say thank you. So. And the stickers at the door office, I forgot to bring them today, but there's a bunch of stickers. Take a whole sheet or reading the ones that were in the Red Rock News. There were 200 overruns. So they're at the door office. Take as many as you want. Wear them. I wear this throughout the stores whenever I go shopping, and people do stop me constantly. So it does help. So thank you all very much. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you canvassing this weekend. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that. There are also plenty of lawn signs left at the DORR office, which is 105 Roadrunner Drive. It's like you can walk here in a second from here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, people on Zoom who came to be with us today. This was a great program. Thank you again, Leah and Tricia. Wonderful, wonderful job. And we will see you next month, the 3rd Friday of November. By then, we'll have a lot to talk about. Thank you. Yay.